All right, what's up, my brothers? We're on an episode of Playing to Win with John Sonmez. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good. How are you, Richard?
Yeah, Bulldog Mindset, man. I've watched your channel for a bit now. We connected several months ago. In fact, I think we did a broadcast on your channel, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we did. That's right. Yeah, it's been a while since we've talked. I mean, we've chatted back and forth by text. I think it's interesting that y watching the development and the movement of you with, like the red pilling, the shifting from programming. Because when I first heard about your channel, you were really broadcasting about programming ideas, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was a software developer for like 15 years and I started out, I still have a company called Simple Programmer and that was actually what the channel name was originally. And then I shifted it over to Bulldog Mindset.
And why did you shift over? Like, was it you're just kind of bored or done with that business? You had it set up right? Like, what was the movement for?
Yeah, so I mean, part of it was really just what my interest was. So I still have Simple Programmer. In fact, it has its own YouTube channel now. I started that one as a new YouTube channel, and the company's still running and it still does well. And that company really was focused around the idea of teaching soft skills to software developers, so
Mhm.
communication, career development, stuff like that. And what I found was that as I was getting more interested in the red pill type of content and personal development for men in general and masculinity, that I was doing a lot of content for Simple Programmer that was geared towards that. And part of the reason also was because working in the tech industry with a lot of software developers and tech type of guys, they were constantly asking me questions. I get emails, all these sob stories about, women's issues, because that was their biggest issue, honestly. Like it's kind of funny, but
Yeah.
they just don't know how to deal with it. And so I was doing a lot of advice on the channel focus on that, and I was like, okay, let me just start over and focus on something that is more of what I'm interested in right now. And then I sort of turned over Simple Programmer to at the time, my business partner, and he was running it. And I just focused on Bulldog Mindset because that was, like I said, what I was interested in. And I also saw just this huge crisis in masculinity that we have today, where men don't know how to be men today. And I felt like, okay, that's something that I really sincerely want to help with, and felt like I could. So that kind of was a lot of the reason for shifting.
Yeah, here I'm just pulling up your website here because I want to show these guys this picture. This is like,
Oh
how old were you here?
yeah.
This was 2012,
Yeah, 2012. Yeah.
and there
So
was another one here with something balancing on your head.
yeah.
You're a bit of a, I mean, you're just kind of like the geeky programmer dude there, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
And this is you, the hunka hunka burning love right now. Looks like you've shared the stage with a few other people too. I know you've met a few guys that we have mutual friendships with as well too. Like you went through a pretty dramatic transformation. Like to go to this guy from this guy is pretty huge. And a lot of dudes are, I mean, I see this crisis, like you said, like there's a crisis in masculinity. I'm just going to throw up this banner here for the channel sponsor. I can't forget about Scott at Grande. I see the same crisis in masculinity that you see, where it's like guys just quit, and it's almost like they're either afraid to do the work, or they don't want to do the work, or they feel like the juice is not worth the squeeze, or they're following some other mantra that might send them their own way, so to speak. I mean, every single guy that not every single guy, but almost everybody that I know today came from nothing. They came from a zero to a hero. I always tell guys that, as a man, you must create your value, whereas as a woman, you must preserve your value. Like for women, it's
Right.
their femininity and their beauty that they must preserve, which is why men don't want to be with a woman with a huge notch count. But women at the same time, they don't want to be with a guy that's incompetent. They want to know that he's got competency skills. And you needed to demonstrate that for yourself beyond just being able to program. So talk about that shift between, the goofy guy with the wrapping paper on his head, or the,
Yeah.
sitting on the floor with the bad haircut, to who you are today.
Yeah. So it didn't happen overnight, right? It came in stages, right? There was a stage where, and a lot of it came just from some self-reflection of looking in the mirror and really taking an honest assessment of myself. Because we tell these stories about how awesome we are, and we make excuses for ourselves, and we have all of these justifications as to why we are who we are. But in our minds, we always think we're the best, right? But when you like take a look in the mirror. And that's what I did one day is I looked in the mirror, both physically and spiritually, mentally, and stripped down and said, okay, this is the reality, John. Like, this is you think that you're good with women, but you're not. You're chicken shit. Okay. You have a lot of fear. You're lazy. You're fat. Right. Like, all of these things. Yeah. Maybe you've had some financial success as a programmer, but you're not an entrepreneur. You're none of these things. Mm-hmm. And when I, examined that closely, I realized that, okay, you know what? It's not just going to happen. I have this saying that everyone thinks they're going to be a rock star someday. It's not magically going to happen in my life. And that was really the thing that gave me that idea that I needed to change. I needed to do something. And so I started getting into personal development and reading a lot of personal development books, things like Tony Robbins, went through Tony Robbins' seminar. And, some of this stuff happened before that, but I started really focusing on what did I want to change about myself and what is the actual reality, and not necessarily beating myself up, but just confronting myself with the truth every day to say, okay, I had this vision in my head. I started to think about, like, who did I want to become, and not someone else, but like I would envision the me that I wanted to become myself. Like, how would I walk? How would I talk? And to some degree, what I started doing was I started to pretend like I was already that person. I started to act as if I was already that person and playing that role. Like I was just an actor playing that role. And eventually I started to become that person. Like you become what you play. Right. And, and that was sort of the beginning of the changes. And that involved me going to the gym, lifting, getting on a diet, doing a lot more work, not being lazy, overcoming my fears, right? Overcoming so many fears that I had. And then, one of the things that really was a big breaking point for me in transition was I remember, thinking about one day about how I'd see these other men, like I was around maybe 33 at the time. And I would think to myself, like, I'm an adult boy. I see these other men and I don't know what makes them a man, but I don't feel like a man. Mm-hmm. And so I started to really explore that, right? I read a lot of books like, Jack Donovan's Way of Men and David Data's Way of the Superior Man. And I went through all of, Iron John, every single masculinity book that I could find. And I started really trying to figure out what was it. And, through that and through, really just applying myself and figuring out that what really made a man was having a purpose and going after that purpose, no matter what. That's really what caused that transformation. Cause I really believe that. Oh, go ahead.
Did you find that like stuff like Way of the Superior Man was more of like an entry point into the red pill for you? Because a lot of it's kind of, not a lot of it, but I mean like a good chunk of it's kind of woo-woo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Same thing with Iron John. Like it's a lot of storytelling as well, but it doesn't really get into the underlying dynamics between attraction, between the sexes, right? Like that's kind of it's like an advanced level sort of thing, right? Like, was that the transition into it? Was it a segue? Like, how did you get into the more deeper stuff? Because I mean, I've seen you put out some pretty intense videos lately on the sexual marketplace that are pretty red pilled.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Early on, right? Like earlier in my life, I had gotten involved in the pickup community, like when it was really on the message boards, but I didn't really quite.
You're a cold approach PUA. I knew it. You're a PUA.
That's it. I feel like every guy has to learn that skill set, though. It's critical.
No, you got to have the you got to have like the gumption to walk up to a pretty girl and say, "Hey, what are you reading there?" sort of thing. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And most guys don't have that. Like that's probably the greatest fear of most men is to actually.
Rejection's huge.
And so I was sort of involved in that, but I didn't really understand the psychology behind it very much, and I didn't really have very much success, to be honest, initially. And then actually one of the books I read was Rollo Tomasi's The Rational Male, and that kind of really made a lot of things click for me.
Yeah, me too.
That because there was some harsh truths, and I was like, okay. I'm not sure if I completely buy 100%. I don't want to. I want to read this. I don't want to become jaded. Like that was kind of like what's going through my head. Is I was like, okay, I have to objectively absorb this information. It's not personal. There's no malice here. This is just how it is. And again, like having gone through that whole mirror exercise, I was like, okay, I want to see reality clearly. This is the truth of the situation, and that really shifted a lot of my thinking. And then that caused me to look at the world through that lens. So that was really a lot of it. And then a lot of it started to come as guys were asking me for advice. And, I was getting so many emails and I was trying to answer these questions. And in order to do that, I had to sort of figure this shit out myself, right? So I had to kind of, go and see and explore. And as I'm coaching guys and figuring this stuff out, I'm starting to get more of the truth of it from the actual experience. And really, I think one of the best ways to gain experience, rather than your own experience, is when you're helping other people, because you see so many more problems. And I saw this even as a software developer. One of the reasons why I became really good was because I was always helping other people, going over to their desk, helping them with problems. And it's the same thing here. Is it's like I keep getting exposed to so many scenarios that I wouldn't have experienced in my own life, that I'm able to gain that experience. And so that really got me to help, I feel, to have a deeper understanding of the whole red pill and exactly what we're dealing with.
Let me ask you this question, because I noticed in a video the other day you put something out that said that you make 29 grand on YouTube and about 17,000 of it was from coaching. So I mean, you obviously coach a lot of guys too. So what sort of common recurring theme do you see when you're talking to guys in your coaching sessions? Because it seems, I mean, from my experience anyway, I've been on Clarity for a long time, and I know you're friends with Dan because I saw you put some stuff up on social when you guys got together. But I don't know, I've done close to like 400 odd calls, and I've done calls outside of that on my own platforms as well. And it seems like about 2/3 of the conversations I have are either around chasing tail, getting tail back, getting divorced without getting, run through the divorce machine too badly. And then the other third of it's like around business and the manufacturing of, recurring revenue, subscription, startups and stuff like that. Like, what's your experience with coaching been with guys like mostly? Is it still about chasing tail for you too, or?
I tend to find, so the way that I do the coaching is I do $1,500 a month for one Skype call, an hour Skype call a month. So I think because I have it set up that way, more of my coaching clients are focused on business because they want to be able to make that $1,500 back. So I'd say probably 70 to 80% of what I'm doing is helping guys to start a business and to invest in real estate. And then the other 20% is around the fitness questions and the mindset, productivity, and then women with that. And it depends on how long someone's been coaching with me, right? Some guys, they're just interested in the business side of it. Some guys their whole life is fucked up and they just need somewhere to start. And the longer they're with me, I tend to try and attack the most prevalent problems first, right? So I try to get their finances and shit straight, and their productivity and their mindset. And then from there, then we can start to look at going after women and achieving those goals there. Because a lot of it, I feel like, is, again, this is where I'm sort of the opposite of the PUA type of, I want you to become a better man, because then you're not faking anything. Then, like, if you have that inner confidence, if you know who you are, then you don't get lost in the shit. Because a lot of guys, again, I saw very much in the PUA community, is they would have success with women, but they were still seeking external validation from them. And so it's like a never ending treadmill that they never get off, because their source of validation, even though they're quote getting it, is women, and it's never internal, so they never feel adequate. And so I feel like, with the guys I coach, I try to make sure that, okay, let's get you solid as a man first, and then you're going to be able to have the success and not be it won't be a crutch to you anymore.
Where do guys go wrong most often when it comes to being a man?
Oh gosh, one of the big ones is parent issues is what I find specifically. Well, like my belief is that in order to be a man, you must kill your father, metaphorically, right? And what I mean by that is that you must kill his value systems and determine your own value systems and dismiss his judgment of you, right? And so many guys it's wired into them that they're still living under their father's rule. They're still evaluating themselves in respect to their father's value systems and his approval. And so that's usually the biggest starting point. And then the second one that I see is fear of consequences, right? Not living their life, instead living very conservative or playing it safe, right? So
playing not to lose versus playing to win, right?
100%. Yeah.
I think we're going to see that shift in the coming years, because I mean, you're talking about guys having to kill off their beliefs or the preconceived notions and serving their father's agenda. And I mean, I had a dad growing up in my house. He wasn't very alpha, but I mean, you know, he was still head of the household. There was always struggle there, but you know, I think the stat was something like 43% of households in North America now are single parent households, and they don't say single mothers, but women get custody like 85% of the time still. So let's just assume it's single mothers. So I think we're going to see that that shift towards more men or boys turning into feminized men as they get older. I'm already
Yeah.
seeing it now. Like I talk to a lot of guys who are like, you know, see a comment like, "This is all finally clicking. You're like the father I never had. You know, I was raised in a feminist mother's household with no father. You know, thank you, blah blah blah, sort of thing." And it's like, I think that's just going to keep getting worse. I think it's like a serious shift in a different direction as we kind of progress forward. What do you think about that? Like, what's your take on this whole movement of feminism to like this more supremacy type of movement where it's like this toxic version that's hostile towards everybody, including themselves, actually? I mean, I see feminism today as anti-femininity. It's not even pro-femininity. It's like
Right.
anti-femininity.
Well, yeah, I really see feminism as women trying to become men, like, and basically,
Terrible versions of men, in fact,
yeah,
right?
they're lifting up masculine traits and completely destroying feminine traits, which are important. Feminine traits are extremely important to society and to families and to household, and and we're losing that. We're losing that, and in addition, men are becoming weaker, right? They're becoming more on the feminine side, and it's all because of this, and this just this whole, you know, it basically it comes to a battle between egalitarian views and hierarchical, right? Men are hierarchical, women are egalitarian, and the problem with having an egalitarian society is that, well, you see it with social justice warriors, right?
Mm.
I had the nice experience of being, quote, canceled with
Yeah,
my
yeah.
alter ego.
Yeah, talk about that cancellation, because I mean, you said something on Twitter that offended a bunch of people, and you got your programs kicked off a platform by the social justice warriors, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I basically, like, the short story is that I don't even really go on Twitter, but one of my friends had messaged me on Facebook, and he's like, "Oh, this girl Amy, who had been on one of my podcasts and is on one of my friends' podcasts in the programming community, he's like, she's being attacked by social justice warriors again. They're basically trying to destroy her career, and they've done this to multiple people." So I was like, all right, you know what? I'll jump on there and see what's going on. And sure enough, that's what was happening. So I was like, what do I got to lose? Like, I'm independently wealthy. I don't have a job. They can't fire me. So I'll just fucking fire back at them and try and piss them all off. So I started just firing comments to draw the fire to me. And I
Mhm.
did. I drew the fire to me, and I didn't anticipate the crazy backlash. So what they actually
The
did.
outrage mob.
Oh yeah, it was insane. It was insane. I had the gall, like, what it really came down to, that got screenshotted and tweeted all over the place, was there was a black woman who I had said something she had told me to shut my mouth, and I had responded by saying something about, because she shared some story, and I was like, yeah, you should have kept quiet. We should all keep quiet and be happy where we are, and shut your mouth, right? And then, and then this other white woman in tech who had a pretty good platform replied back and said, "How dare you tell a woman to shut her mouth?" Right?
Hmm.
So my response to that was, "Shut your mouth," right?
Hmm.
And I thought it was kind of ironic, because I'm like, wait a minute. Like, why does it matter if you're a woman? Like, why does it matter if I tell a woman to shut her? Like, I'm calling guys pussies. I'm saying all this shit, but I can't tell a woman to shut her mouth. Like,
No,
I'm
it's not permitted.
I'm as least sexist as you can be in that regard. Equal opportunity. I will slam you. So anyway, that got screenshotted and tweeted as, I'm a sexist racist now. And then pretty soon they started going after one of the companies that I published a bunch of courses with, Pluralsight,
Mm.
and Pluralsight cowered to the mob, and they took down my courses,
Mm.
right? And then they went to my book publisher and had my book unpublished from the book publisher.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. It cost
What did
me
that cost
probably
you in monthly revenue?
probably overall it'd be a couple $100,000 worth of
Yeah.
revenue.
Yeah,
Now,
it's funny because I've seen the outrage mob come at me a few times, and I mean, you got to be anti-fragile if you're going to go out there and
oh yeah,
say those things. And I mean, I've said things that offended, well, feminists. I've said things that have offended single moms. And most recently, I don't know if you saw that press piece with that news reporter that had her bum smacked by the marathon runner.
Oh no, no, I didn't see that. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't see that? Oh, dude, I got to show this to you because this is off the chart hilarious. I'll
Okay.
pull it up while I'm telling you the story. But yeah, like the anti-fragility component of broadcasting yourself on social, like guys like us put ourselves out there. People have no idea. I mean, I get why there's a lot of content creators on YouTube that don't show their face.
Mm.
And they use avatars or memes or fake names, or they'll even make up pen names and show their face. I mean, there's a lot of people even in the manosphere that broadcast. I'm one of the few people that actually use my real name. Let me find. Okay, so here it is. Let me see if I can pull that up on the screen. You got to see this. This is crazy. Here it is. So this so this girl here is a news reporter. I don't know if you can see the screen here, but this girl
Okay,
here is
yeah.
a news reporter. And she said that she had her power stolen from her because this jogger ran by her and smacked her bum. This is her Instagram feed. So these are some pictures that people sent me. I'm not sure that she's had her power stolen from her, right? Like,
Yeah.
like let's get real here. The the world that we live in today is it's just gotten to the point where you like if you say or do anything that shines even a slightly unfavorable light on a demographic like women, because toxic feminism in my estimation teaches them to be victims,
Hmm.
and they just can't be happy. I mean, one of the things that Dr. Sean Smith said, I don't know if you've read his book, The Tactical Guide to Women. Have you read it?
No, I haven't read that yet.
Yeah,
I'll
it's a
have to.
good book. I have Sean on every other Monday night. We got
Okay.
Dr. Robert Glover coming on June 6th with us. But one of the things he noticed when he put out a video on feminism is feminists can't be happy. I mean, you can't date
Yeah.
a feminist just because they can't be happy, because it relies on them being victims. They have to have that victim mindset versus your bulldog mindset, sort of thing. So that narrative gets pushed out there pretty far, right? And
Oh yeah.
it's difficult for guys to deal with. I mean, we see a lot of guys that just uncheck from the sexual marketplace and they go their own way. I mean, you've
Hmm.
had them, we were talking before we went live, I know you were on with TFM recently as well, but I mean, like you've had some interactions with these mgtow guys. What's that experience been like?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, part of it is it's kind of funny. The YouTube algorithm, like the kind of bullshit social justice stuff on YouTube, is actually somewhat benefiting me. So if you search for mgtow on YouTube,
Mhm.
my videos are the top 5 videos for mgtow.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, you can check it in like an incognito window. It's kind of insane. So and my videos
So that'll
are
bring a lot of negative attention your way.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
and they're
mgtow is angry. Is mgtow weak? Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, yeah, they'll come after you for that, won't they?
Yeah, yeah, they definitely. I'm like their number one target. So
I thought I was, dude.
I don't know. Well, we could share that
All right.
spotlight. It's not fun, but the thing is like, is the biggest problem I have with MGTOW is the victim mindset. That's
Mhm.
it, right? That's the one thing. Like, if I had to say what is the whole purpose of Bulldog Mindset in my channel, it's to get rid of the victim mindset. Like that, I'm
Yeah.
totally against the victim mindset. And while I agree with a lot of the stuff that their grievances, right? Like, I mean, as far as if I go down the line of the stuff that mgtow says, it's very much what we say at Red Pill. Like, these are just realities of the situation, right? Unfair court systems, the way that women behave, like the female nature, all these things. The difference is, like, I look at these things and I say, okay, that's what the situation is. So as an intelligent man, I will navigate these waters using this map that I have. I'm not angry at the map. I'm not angry at the world. I'm not angry at women. I know I have a map that shows me where there's booby traps, and I'm going to use the damn map, right? And so my problem with them is that they're angry at the world. They're angry at women. They're angry at other guys, like, calling guys cucks and simps. I get so many fucking
Mhm.
comments, like, and emails from them. It's like, guys, come on, like, masculine men do not are able to control their emotions. Like, if
Yeah.
if you're going to be a man going your own way, like, one of the greatest attributes you can have as a man, what makes you a man, is emotional mastery to a large degree. And so I can't get behind this. I can't get it. And the problem is, like, all these guys, the reason why I'm against it is again, Like mgtow in its purest form as a philosophy, it makes sense. Go your own way, focus on excellence, like you say, improve yourself, right? Don't worry about women. Don't make them the center of your life. I agree with all that stuff. So in theory, it's good. But what ends up happening is it becomes this huge groupthink. And all these guys, when you actually see mgtow communities, it's not a philosophy. It's a society. And the philosophy that they're actually adopting in that society is victim mindset. It's destructive. And these guys end up either becoming losers or staying losers because they never actually go down the path of real personal development. It's so much easier to just talk about how fucked up things are and their hate for women and hate for other guys, that they never actually accomplish things, right? And that's my big grievance. I mean, to be honest with you, like, I feel bad for the guys. Like, I went in there, I spent like 2 hours on TFM's Discord last night just trying to help these guys. And because I do honestly
It
want to
started
help
with
them.
like, let's make some money. We'll talk about real estate, you know, how to make some recurring revenue. Like, is that what you kind of started it with?
Yeah, that was exactly what I started in the chat, and then I branched into the idea like, hey, you know, the idea of, well, and of course they were completely resistant to, you know, some ridiculousness there of the idea like leverage is bad, like all leverage is bad, all debt is bad. And I'm like, man, guys, like, you know, I'm not trying to like toot my own horn here, but, you know, I'm a multi-millionaire. I've made millions of dollars in multiple different ways. Real estate is one of them. And I'm telling you, like, it's not like it's just like my opinion. I'm telling you as a successful man how to actually have financial success to help you guys. I'm not selling you shit. I'm just telling you, right? And they're completely, you know, dismissing those ideas. And then I transitioned into talking about just the idea of like, hey, you know, do you guys really want to fuck sex dolls? Like, is that, I mean, do you desire something else? If so, like, you know, if that's fine, if that's all that you desire in life and you're going, you know, and you're honestly, that's fine. I'm cool with that. But most of these guys aren't being honest. That's not what they really want, right?
Well, I don't think people are being honest when you talk about a different idea or a different set of ideas that aren't aligned with their belief system. They come and shit on your story.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're not, like, you're sitting in the cheap seats over there, you know, saying what it is you want to say, pointing and sputter at me while I'm down on the arena doing the work, getting the results, right? And that goes for anybody. Like, like I tell feminists the exact same thing, right? Like, anybody that's playing that victim mindset, I got no time for you, dude. You're not part of my tribe. You're in the other lane. Stay in your lane, and that's it. But they never do, man. Like, they always show up on your feed. They always show up in your social media. They always show up in your comments. It is what it is, though. I want to talk about money and real estate because I think that's where you really got started, right?
Yeah. That's primarily that was my basic way to retire from the rat race.
When did you do that? At what age?
33 is when I officially quit my job and had enough passive income to not have to work. So.
Cool. All right. So what was that? Was that rental properties? Was it rehabs like lipstick and makeup, flip and sell? Like, what did you do?
Pretty much rental properties. I do mostly just buy and hold. So I bought my first property when I was 19 and I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I just didn't want to pay rent. You know, I got some education about real estate later on, but basically what I started doing was buying a property every year, which anyone can pretty much do, and bought 30-year fixed mortgages on those properties and just held them and rented them out and accumulate. You know, you make money in real estate basically four ways, right? One is cash flow, which most people know. You rent if your rent is higher than the mortgage and all the expenses. You make money from the principal pay down that you're paying down on the mortgage every month. You're making a principal payment. You make money from depreciation, which is the tax benefit that you get. At least, I'm not sure how it works in Canada, but in the US, you can depreciate the asset over 27 and a half years. And so it goes onto your taxes. And then the third way, which is the most important way, is through leverage appreciation, right? So the property goes up in value. And the simplest way I can explain it is this: if I buy a property for $100,000 and I put 20% down on that property, so the bank provides the other 80%. If it appreciates 3% in 1 year, I don't make a 3% return on my $20,000. I make a 15% because my return is leveraged by a 5x lever. And that is the secret to becoming wealthy through real estate investment is that you're able to do that, and you can't do that with any other asset class. And when I say a 3% appreciation, that's a pretty that's below what the historical average has been. Like over the last 50 years, it's been about 3.7%. So yeah, so that's basically what I did. Was I just invested, and I worked my ass off at my regular job, and I started, in the last few years, probably when I was like 29 or so, I started my business, started Simple Programmer, and started making Pluralsight courses and using that to accelerate my real estate investments. And I got to the point where I had enough cash flow that I could quit the job.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm. And then, like, what was the appeal to YouTube? You just wanted to broadcast yourself? You wanted to keep yourself busy, or?
That's a good question. So I started doing, when I was working on Simple Programmer, I was trying to be everywhere. That was kind of my strategy. Was if you looked for software development, soft skills advice, I wanted you to find me whatever medium that you searched,
Mm-hmm.
so that, because I feel like that's a great way to build a brand, is like to be the guy, right, in
Mm-hmm.
that particular space. So one of the places I wasn't was YouTube. So I started doing just a weekly YouTube video, and the channel started growing. So I said, and I actually enjoyed it. I felt like I feel like being on video, it creates a different effect, because I had a podcast, I had a blog, but when you're a video, like, people will walk, when you're walking down the street, I'm sure you've probably had this experience, because your channel's big enough that, like, people recognize you and they're like, hey man, you're like a celebrity. And so that is actually way powerful for building a brand, because it creates that celebrity effect more than just a podcast or a blog. And so as far as like building a business and having a successful brand and converting that audience, I think YouTube is probably the most effective platform.
What do you think of YouTube these days? I mean, you've got roughly the same amount of subscribers as I do, but I mean, you have the same problem that I do. It looks like your reach is even less than mine right now, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think's happening? Like, what do you see the direction of YouTube right now?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think part of it is a good thing, right? In the sense that the reason why we don't have as much reach as some channels do is because we're very polarizing with our content, which is good, because the people that subscribe and watch your videos and subscribe and watch my videos, they are true fans. They're, and I think, the greatest example of being polarizing is in recent time is Trump, right? It's like you either love him or hate him. You don't really have a neutral stance on the dude. And again, it doesn't matter if you love him or hate him. You can still appreciate the fact that he's extremely polarizing, and that has worked for him. So I guess what I'm saying is that, yeah, there's a bunch of shit happening with YouTube. I know that the algorithm is obviously skewed. I mean, look at my videos that are anti-mgtow showing up as the first search terms on mgtow. That's it's kind of ironic and kind of messed up in a way for the mgtow guys, as much as I dislike them. But my big point is that we are reaching the people that really care about what we're saying, right? And
yeah.
And I
think
the
difficulty is, though, is, I mean, there's like other guys that would be interested in it, but you're not getting the recommendations that used to happen before. Like, I remember I could upload something and get 100,000 views within about a week and a half sometimes, but now it's like there's this shift, and most people don't understand. It's like most of the time when you're broadcasting, most of your views are coming from unsubscribed viewers. And then I saw a pivot like in the last 3 to 4 months where it switched over, and most of the views were coming from subscribed viewers, which means they're not recommending you to new people anymore. And I mean, there's some people that have said that it's because of the election cycle, and because you're pro masculinity, the content that you create. You're not going to get shown as much, but it's like that up and down thing. Like, a lot of people are always like, well, how do you get in YouTube, and how do you do this? And it's like, dude, just make a video and upload. And if it's interesting, if it's useful, if people get value out of it, if there's some entertainment value in it or something, that it can go from there. But it's a different, and it's a difficult platform today, especially for guys like us. I mean, I have to be a lot more aware about what I say, how I say it. I mean, it's part of the reason why I put a lot of the conversations that I would normally have here behind a paywall in my community or somewhere else, just simply because you can't have them publicly anymore. It's not like they're any different, it's not like locker room chat, like Trump would grab her by whatever. But I mean, you're having conversations about topics that matter two guys in chasing excellence, making bank. They're asking questions about the sexual marketplace and women, and it's just tough, man. Like you can't say that stuff publicly. If I was gay and I was doing hair and makeup tutorials, I'd be
Exactly.
on the front page. It'd be like trending right now, right? But
Yeah.
it's not my shtick.
I mean, some
Bizarre.
of it is a larger reflection of society in general, right?
It is.
We are not the popular viewpoint in society, but we're a vital viewpoint that is critical. So, I mean, I also look at it this way. It's like you can't really go around in the manosphere without hearing of either of us. So, in some sense, like, regardless of whether YouTube is recommending our content, we're reaching the people that we need to reach. I prefer more reach and be able to reach more men and maybe convert them to our way of thinking? Sure, I would have, of course, but I don't know. We've got there's not much we can do about it, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you just
yeah,
keep pumping. A lot of guys are like, well, why don't you go on this platform or go to BitChute or go to whatever? It's
yeah,
like you're never
no,
going to get discovered there. The only people that are going there are those that aren't getting, traction on the regular platform. They just don't get that that's not where the new eyes are. Those are where the existing eyes are, right? Like
yeah.
it's a discovery platform. It's a search engine. You have to look at it. You have to look at Google, Facebook, YouTube as search engines because you're there to be found when you're telling a story about something.
Yeah. What I
It's
think is
weird, man.
also, yeah, I think it's kind of ironic too, is just the idea that like guys like you and me who are producing this kind of content, we're actually great allies. I hate to use that word, but allies to women that they don't even realize, right?
Yeah.
Because we're keeping the mgtow guys at bay who are really vile towards women, and we're also masculinizing men who are giving it creates a greater selection for women and keeps those guys from becoming like a man who understands his masculinity and is a true man is not abusive, is not one of those guys that that women are afraid of, like a creep, right? He's actually a good man, right?
Mm.
And then in addition to that, we're promoting femininity, which is vitally important. So I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny that we are perceived as the enemy, yet we are actually the ones that are are actually helping them more than anything else. So
It is what it is, man. You
yeah,
just do your thing. It's the thing about this for me, and I think you're kind of in the same boat. Like you've made your money elsewhere, and it's
yeah,
like if this shut down tomorrow and they threw
yeah,
you off, you'd be like, all right, so what should I be doing now? Let's move on to the next thing, sort of thing. No big deal. Whereas, for some people, like I've seen some people been deplatform off something like Instagram and they lose their shit. They have like a
yeah.
complete cry, like meltdown in their car. I no longer exist in the world anymore. You don't understand how I'm no longer significant. And they're just like bawling it's like, chill out, man. Like
Well, you got to be anti-fragile. It's like you
you
said.
have to,
Yeah,
yeah, you have to try to get
yeah,
there, right? It's
yeah.
and you're never going to get there working for a company, right?
No, no.
You're never going to get there, keeping your mouth shut and treading on eggshells. A lot of guys will point and sputter at people like you and I, but it's like get in the arena, man. Like
Yeah,
get on the floor and let's get down to it, right? But most people can't even do that, right? I mean, they're running their day jobs, but then they hide their face behind an avatar or something like that. And I get why they do it because that's the hostile nature of the world today, man. Where do you think it's going to go in the next 10 years? Like, where do you see this heading?
I
Just
actually
curious
see
your
the
thoughts on that.
I think the pendulum's swinging back the other way, right? I mean, we've already seen it with the election of Trump, and I mean, people are fed up. They're tired of, and social justice warriors are eating their own now, right? This is
Yeah,
happening. Look at J.K. Rowling, right? I don't know if you saw that,
yeah.
but she just got attacked, and she was one of the big people who was attacking people with social justice. So it's an undefensible position at this point. It's just ridiculous. It has gone into full-fledged socialism, and and basically silencing free speech. And
It's an outrage culture, cancel
yeah,
culture, outrage culture. Like I was saying earlier,
yeah,
that reporter with that post that I did, like, I didn't get to finish my thought on that, but I mean, everybody lost their shit on me.
yeah.
Normally, like that page has 8,000 followers on it. I don't use it very often, but it's got 8,000 followers. But that post on Facebook reached 160,000 people
Oh shit.
because of all of the outrage
Yeah,
from the white knighting, the feminazis,
yeah,
the toxic feminine, like all of those people just lost their ever loving mind over that because God forbid, You know, you say something about a reporter and a runner and a friendly smack
Right.
that, you know, and it wasn't pro, it wasn't against, it was just an observation that I made that I'm not sure her power was stolen from her, judging by her social media feed on Instagram.
Right. Yeah.
But they lost her mind. They
Yeah.
absolutely lost her ever loving mind. And it's like we're breeding this outrage culture of continuing to, you know, be victims. And and I see it everywhere. Like I see it
Hmm.
with men, I see it with women. It's just, I don't see it getting any better. Like I'm not sure the pendulum's swinging the other way. Like I'm more of a enjoy the decline sort of guy, you know, by
Yeah.
this stage. I'm a little bit older than you. How old are you?
I'm 39. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit older. I mean, I'm 46, but I mean, I'm kind of at the point where it's like, okay, you know, if the pendulum swings the other way, cool. But I'm not seeing anything change in Canada. Like we've seen Justin Trudeau. He's recently been reelected. He's carrying on with his nonsense. I mean,
Yeah.
Trump, I don't know, Trump, Putin, I call him Putin, but Putin, you know, like there's a couple of masculine guys out there still, you know,
Yeah.
leading the world, setting different sorts of examples. And dude, like even sometimes if I say something about Trump on social media, I'll
Uh,
lose followers. They'll be like,
oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, this is where we part ways. I'm out of here because I put up that post about, you know, the impeachment on
Yeah.
Instagram. Some guys lost. It's like run along, children. The real men are doing work here, right? Like you know, if you can't engage in a conversation and open your ideas to like different sort of concepts, you're not
Yeah.
ready to update your beliefs, right? It's all about outrage. So get your outrage ass the fuck out of here.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, social media to some degree has destroyed society in many ways, because a lot of what has happened now is that we like there's so few free thinkers, right? So why is it that
It's
if
rare.
you say something about Trump that's positive, that people get outraged and they can't hear it? Instead, like why isn't it that, you know, I like Trump in general, but I don't agree with every single thing that he does. I don't worship him in any way, you know,
No, you're not
but
wearing a red MAGA hat 247 like some people do, right?
right, yeah, but so I can objectively say, okay, yeah, what he did here was good. What this makes sense. Like, you know, I like what he's done with the economy. These are good things, but I'm not his like loyal fan at the same time. It's like, what happened to the objective level of thinking where everyone's in a camp now? It's like
Mm,
you're either and so it's all groupthink, and it's the same thing that's happened in the manosphere as well, right? Because you've got like
fragmentation.
we are just talking about, like the mgtow guys. The biggest problem I had with them is they're just a fucking echo chamber. It's like the same exact phrases over and over again, and same apologetics. And it's like, and you go to the incel community, it's the same thing. And I fought with the black pill guys for a long time,
Mm.
and I've given up on them. And it's the same thing. It's an echo chamber where there's no original thinkers, and that's the problem with the world right now with social media, is that we have, you know, basically fallen into all these groups.
Do you know who Conk is?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think you're
Conk's
familiar with
awesome.
him. So,
Yeah,
so he's got a question here on YouTube. I'm going to throw it at you. What are your thoughts on having kids in Western civilization today?
yeah, that's a good one. Hmm. It's definitely a risky proposition, right? For multiple reasons,
Where are
right?
you at with that? Do you have any kids? Are you going to have any? Like, what are you doing?
I try to avoid any kind of personal talk, because I want to protect anyone who's in my life.
Hmm.
Since a
Yeah, yeah,
lot
fair
of people
enough.
want to attack me in different ways, so I
Yeah,
just don't
yeah,
talk about that.
yeah.
But
I get you.
but in general, I would say that it's a dangerous choice, right? Like I would probably advise that guys don't,
Hmm.
just because it's probably not going to be in your best interest. You know, I wouldn't be opposed to someone who really that's what they wanted to do, but you better make sure that you have that you know what you're getting into, and that you've got the right preparations ahead of time to
Hmm.
make sure. Because just assume that shit is going to hit the fan and plan for that, because that's the safest thing to do. But I don't know, it's a bad time. It's a bad time even just for any kind of marriage or relationships. I long-term relationships. I agree with a lot of the MGTOW guys on that for sure. It's dangerous territory. So
I'm going to do a shameless plug here because I got a chapter on red flags that guys can identify for women. So it's a free chapter you guys can download. You'll get on my list for when the full book's available. But that's basically what the book's going to be. It's going to open your eyes to the reality of the entire world. I'm not just talking about women, but the entire world, everything with money and wealth creation and self-care and all that.
awesome.
But yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know how to. like there is no safe way to go about navigating. Like I get this question a lot,
Yeah.
Conk's thrown it in there. Like, what do you think about kids in Western civilization? I think that there's so many variables and there's so many different ways to go about looking at it. And even if you properly vet, even if you look for the 19 or 20 red flags that could potentially flare up, and you've gone through a couple years of dating to get a good idea who they are and what they're all about. There's still a lot of potential risk on the back end, and women always reserve the right to change their mind at any given time. And one of the things I've noticed too through a lot of coaching is I help a lot of guys kind of exit their marriage, like divorce properly, so they don't lose the entire farm through the process. Because a lot of guys make like jump decisions; they'll kind of like run out of things far too quickly.
Yeah.
And the end result of it all is I've talked to guys that have wifed up Mormons, like good
Oh, yeah.
church-going
That doesn't
conservative
matter.
Mormons, and as soon as they go through the divorce process, all of a sudden, her hair's cut short, it's dyed pink, she hates men, and she gets a government job, in social services, and she's divorcing the guy. And he's like, I didn't even see it coming. I'm like, who was the person you married? And it's like, well, over 10 years in the marriage, this is what happened, sort of thing. So, you got to understand that Kant calls it the sun hat cult. That's like a little phrase that Ryan pulled out.
Well, there's something I would say about that, and guys don't like when I say this, but it is true. Okay, which is that a lot of, well, okay, I'll put it this way: women are followers, and how they act in a relationship is largely a reflection of how the man acts in a relationship.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so we need to educate men better on how to be a man in the relationship. And I'm not saying that that will prevent any
It doesn't solve
instances.
everything, but it at least
Right.
offers you a bit of a buffer, right?
Yeah, because, and here's what I was telling one guy that I was coaching. I told him, because he was complaining about his girlfriend and all this shit that she was doing to him and cheating on him and all this stuff. And I said, look, you can have the same girl, same exact girl. She's no saint. She's no evil person. She's just a normal girl. And she dates one guy, and this guy's a wuss. And she walks all over him. She cheats on him. She treats him like shit. She might even physically abuse him, right? Like, okay. But then she could date another guy who is a man, who's familiar with his masculinity, who knows how to be a man in a relationship, and she will treat him like a king. She'll serve him. She'll clean up after him. Not that I'm saying that you need to have those things, but I'm saying like she will treat him like a literal king. And the difference was not the girl, it was you as a man. And again, a lot of guys don't like when I say this, and I'm not trying to say that you can't ever get fucked over even if you do everything right. That's always a possibility. But a large degree of the way that a woman acts in a relationship has to do with how the man acts. And guys don't want to swallow this hard truth, but it is very true. And that's why it's so important. And so many guys are focusing, and this is where I got upset in the whole PUA community, is like a lot of those guys are focused on getting the girl, but they're not focusing on how to actually be a man in the relationship and where to go from there. That's where actually I felt like, even though there's a little bit of woo-woo stuff in David Data's book, that The Way of the Superior Man actually has some pretty solid advice in regards to that. So.
Yeah, those are all great points. I'm going to take a quick break for a couple minutes. I just want to shout out to this new sponsor I have that's got some good supplements here. So let me throw it on the ticker down over here. And you guys have seen, Scott really, support what we're doing here with Tactical Soap. And I got Joel here, and he's got this cool little system that he's put together for guys. I got the wrong screen up here. Hold on a second. Let me do this right. Share screen. I'll get StreamYard working properly here. And there it is, a program. Okay, so it's actually a membership program. Joel's 47. Yes, I know he's on TRT, but he only just started when he was 41. But, the stuff that we got over here, and let me throw on the full screen. LipoX Plus, Creatine HCl, Elevate, and some other fat burners with some other products here, which I'll tell you about in 1 second. Just give me your attention for a minute here. But what we got is, let me minimize that, go back here, and boom. So what we got here is this program that he's put together, monthly membership. It's got access to all of his training. He's got training videos, nutritional stuff. He's got access to the supplements. It's him and his kids over here. I'm actually going to have him on next month to kind of talk about his playing to win story, because he's a really, really successful Canadian entrepreneur that's moved down to Texas. And this program, I'm going to dive into it myself. Dude is solid. He knows exactly what he's talking about when it comes to supplementation. The link is in the bottom here on the ticker, guys. It just says for men over 35, get your swagger and energy back at alphafit.fit. But what I wanted to show you here, this one here is my favorite. This is a great product that helped me lose about 9 pounds so far. It kind of expands in your stomach. I'm going to have him explain it better on when he's joined me, but it's a proprietary blend of this fiber, which basically you take 5 pills, and if I were to put it in this glass of water and fill it up with a spoon, stir it up, it would basically turn like gelatinous sort of goo. So it fills up your stomach so you don't have as much of an appetite, lowers blood sugars, and improves, diabetes if you have that sort of problem. But I also found that it helped me lose weight because I take it before I would go to the dojo, and I didn't really have much of an appetite to eat a huge meal afterwards. So check out this stuff. The link's below. His program's all there. I'm going to have him talk a little bit more about it when he joins up. So he's got this Lipo X Plus. He's, of course, got creatine products as well, which are super simple tablets. There's 2 energy boosters. This is the one that I've been using. It's called Elevate. Again, it's also in the program over there. This is really good for getting psyched up and creating a little bit of mental clarity. There's a lot of guys that sell nootropics. I don't really think that they work that well. Actually, I want to ask you about any kind of experience you have with those, because I've used things like modafinil, but this here I found very effective. If you want to go hardcore, this stuff is crazy. You have to be careful with this. This will really get you fired up for fat burning. I don't use that often. I kind of use like the average Joe one. You ever use anything like a nootropic to get things done, John?
I played around with a few of them and I never found them effective, but I'm trying to think, what was it? I found this company that had actually sent me some samples called Formula.
Yeah.
And I was pretty skeptical, but I tried it out and they have like a blind like placebo test thing. And I actually found that it was beneficial. Like they have few different blends for different, and they're focused on different things, and they kind of customize it. So it's like for a different person, you test to see what works for you. And I actually found some positive results. Not like anything like, just ridiculous results, but when I actually
You're never going to see anything like that movie Limitless, right?
No,
With Bradley
you're
Cooper.
never
Like you're never going to have that kind of superpower, but it's always like a slight edge. I mean, some guys will chew nicotine gum. What do you do for like biohacking yourself? Because I mean, like you're 39, right? You're in really good shape. Like, have you moved into TRT yet, or are you still fully natural?
So I just started doing TRT like 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Up until then, I was 100% natural. I haven't really even talked about this online, but
let's dive into it, man.
Yeah. So the reason why I started taking TRT was because my SHBG level was like 200.
Mm-hmm. And what does that explain? That's sex hormone binding globulin, right? So what is that, and why is that significant to the pursuit of excellence and playing to win?
So the biggest issue with it is that it has an affinity for testosterone. So even though my testosterone was pretty high, my free testosterone was low. Because of that. And I tried everything to lower the SHBG naturally. I think the reason why mine was so high was because I fast a lot and I run marathons. I run like 60, 70 miles a week. So I think on top of all the weight training, I was just running myself down. Like I guess under extreme stress and starvation, that can rise. So I was suffering from that, and then like a libido drop off. And I was like, okay, you know what? For quality of life, like I had been natural my whole life, and I was able to build the physique. I was able to build, being completely natural. I said, for quality of life in my 40s, I need to start thinking about, is it worth it being able to say, oh, look, I've never taken anything, or would it be better to have a higher quality of life? And honestly, like there is a huge difference in motivation.
What have you noticed?
So the biggest one was I felt like my normal self again once I started taking it. There was just like for the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I just felt like mildly depressed, lacking the motivation that I used to have, even though I was forcing myself through it. I was still running marathons, still hitting the gym every day, still running the business, but just like I had to drag myself to do it. And the motivation level increased dramatically, libido increased dramatically. And yeah, that's the main thing. Like I didn't even really see any difference in physique as far as I didn't even really see any difference in fat burning Yeah. In fact, my endurance performance went down in running, but yeah,
How
yeah.
tall are you and what do you weigh?
I'm 6'3" and I'm about 235.
Oh, you're a big dude, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm just under 6'3" and I'm about 200 and I mean I cut myself down about 204 lately, but I've been up to about 212 and I started TRT at 199, but I got up to 210, 212. I didn't gain that much, but I'm like, you're a big guy. Like, how do you maintain 235 running as much as you do? Because I always see your posts on Instagram,
Yeah.
like you're running every fucking day. Like,
Yeah.
how do you keep the muscle on you?
So most people, like most fitness people, are completely wrong about cardio killing your gains. It's absolutely not true. And I know it because, like I said, I run, I've been running like 60, 70 miles a week. And I've done that for like the last 2 to 3 years. So the biggest key, and not only that, but I only eat one meal a day. In fact, I fast until 5 every single day. The biggest key is just eating, or not eating, but lifting heavy. As long as you're lifting heavy in the gym,
Hmm.
and then the second thing is the actual fasting. So it's kind of funny. So I used to do the whole bodybuilding diet, right? I
Hmm.
would eat 6 or 7 meals a day, and these small meals, and then I would do the whole bro splits and all that shit. And I gained a lot of muscle. I mean, I was pretty big, but when I would cut, I would lose so much muscle cutting. As a natural, I was like, okay, there's just no way to avoid that. But then when I started doing the fasting, I started doing one meal a day. I noticed that when I started cutting, I kept all the muscle. I was keeping almost all the strength gains and muscle. And as I researched into it, I found that when you do the prolonged fast, your HGH level boosts up there, especially if you do even longer fast. So, it's going to seem kind of crazy, but for the last 3 weeks, I've only been eating on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just one meal on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with
How
all
big's
my
a meal?
running.
Is it like a huge, like 3, 4,000 calories, or is it like a standard meal?
Yeah, about 3,000 calories, I'd say. For me, it doesn't seem that big, but
Yeah.
because I'm used to it. But yeah, so the fasting and lifting heavy, that's the key. Because when I was eating the small meals with the bodybuilding diet,
Hmm.
I would lose muscle as well as the fat, and but the fasting seems to be the key thing that keeps the muscle on. So yeah, it seems very counterintuitive, but
So
but
what do you
yeah.
do on like a Tuesday for consumption? Is it just water or fluids? Like you don't eat anything?
Yeah, I just would drink some coffee, and like I've got a Diet Coke or 7 Up here,
Hmm.
so I'll that's it. No calories, basically.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So
Interesting. 3 MAW, 3 meals a week, Conk says.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
it's and I've lost quite a bit just by doing that, and like I said, I haven't lost any strength at all in the gym. So
Crazy. Crazy. Do you use HCG too, or just testosterone?
yeah, I do like I've got an online system where they send me HCG, and they send me enough for like the first half of so I'm off and on the HCG,
Hmm.
and then they also send me oxytocin.
Oh,
So
I'm not even familiar with that
or
protocol. I've
or
not heard that.
is it? I always mix up oxytocin and
You talking about
yeah.
DHEA?
No, it's oxytocin. It's like the love chemical, right? That the bonding chemical. I forget,
Oh, okay, okay.
but
Yeah,
it
there's lots of
supposedly.
like online places that'll ship it right to your door now too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you just
yeah.
have to
It's
get
super
blood labs and
convenient.
that's it.
Yeah, I think honestly, any guy that is like in his late 30s and 40s should definitely look into it because, like I said, I was the biggest like. In fact, I made videos against TRT
Hmm.
originally, but then I realized like it just came down to this idea. I forget. I watched some video. Maybe it was the dates, more plates, more dates guy. Maybe
Yeah, I've
yeah.
seen his channel. I've been watching a lot of his stuff too.
He's
Yeah,
good. He's good,
yeah,
and
he's
he
good.
knows all
Yeah,
this stuff. And he made some video that convinced me because he was like, "Dude, he's like, your quality of life. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, yeah, okay, fine, you're natural. That's great. But when you hit like 40, like your 40 to 50-year-old, that decade, it can either be like just like you were in your
hmm,
30s, or you can start going downhill. Like, make a
yeah,
choice.
yeah. That's the thing that a lot of guys don't get. Like I've sometimes posted a picture, like a progress picture, and right away the guys will swoop in. Yeah, you're on TRT. You're cheating. It's like I don't think you get it, dude. Like the levels that I have right now are what I had when I was probably like in my late 20s or 30.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm super physiological bodybuilding style, because if I was, I'd be like 275 pounds, right? Like I'd be big. They're, the whole point is really just to get your mental focus and clarity back,
Yeah.
libido strong. You've got muscle strength and density, your bone density, because that's the other thing that happens too, is your bone density improves as well over about a year. It takes the longest, like that's the longest ROI that you get on TRT, is your bone density goes up over about a year, but body fat will go down, muscle strength will improve. It takes some management though, right? Like there's some
Yeah.
lab work that you got to do to manage it and make some slight adjustments to tweak it, because everybody's a little bit different. But once you get it dialed in right, like, it's not going to be a game changer like, oh, dude, you're going to be 100% better. But it's like, you're going to feel like you're younger, right? Like your
Exactly.
biological age will feel a lot younger. Do you do anything else to biohack yourself to, improve focus, clarity, production, or anything else like that?
I mean, nothing from a chemical standpoint, I'd say. Like, I mean, okay, I did with the same subscription service. They also offer some like HGH peptides.
Hmm.
So I'm taking the peptides. I'm skeptical if those actually make much of a difference at all.
Hmm.
But I figure, heck, if they're only going to charge me $200, I
Hmm.
might as well take them. So I'm doing that, and then
IPA? Like what are you taking?
it
Testosterone or I?
Simorlin,
Yeah, okay.
and then
Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't really notice much with that, but I think one of the most useful peptides was BPC 157. I don't know if you've used that yet.
no, I haven't.
It's great, man.
Okay.
It's really good for joint tissue, and you
Okay.
inject it right into your joint. I was talking to Ben Greenfield about this like 5 or 6 years ago, long before I even got on TRT. And as soon as I heard needles, I was like, I just tuned out. I'm like, fuck that, I'm
Yeah.
not doing it. But like
Yeah.
as soon as I got used to
Yeah.
TRT and the protocol, it's like no big deal. So I like my left knee's been bad. Like it's part of the reason why I don't run. I've had a hard time skiing in the winter, in the past, but I got this peptide, and it's not expensive. It's like $50. You just, reconstitute it with some water, and then you just
Yep.
inject it right into your joint. A lot of people go, "Oh, your joint, that's, it's got to hurt." But what you really do is, I don't have a lot of body fat on my wrist, but I mean, you just grab some fat, you kind of pinch it like that, and then
Yeah.
you just put it, between the pinch, and it's by your joint, and it just kind of finds its way in there. And you do that for about 2 or 3 weeks, and it's like, no, like it doesn't click and pop anymore. I can
Yeah.
walk on it, properly. Like I can even run on it if I'm on a treadmill too. So it's like peptides are also like a nice little tweak as well. I got a video that I'm going to go in depth on peptides for my community in the 1% next month, and kind of explain how it's all done and how you reconstitute it and how you inject it. But I found peptides to be very, very useful. The ones that are supposed to boost HGH,
Mhm.
nothing really. I mean, I had a slightly
Yeah.
better quality of sleep, which was one of the benefits that they said. But aside from that, yeah, the BPC 157's been a game changer.
Okay, I've actually got a coaching call scheduled with Ben Greenfield,
Yeah.
where in fact, I basically emailed him and I was like, "Hey, I want you to tell me optimal, like, what do I need to do peptide wise? Because
Hmm.
I don't want to do all the research, and I know you've already done it." So yeah, so next month I'm going to be talking with him and getting it, because I know he's the man that for all this stuff. Like he's
You gonna do it
researched.
live?
No, I just paid to schedule a coaching call with him.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He'll fill you in. There's actually a essay that he wrote on it. So if you search BPC 157 plus Ben Greenfield, he breaks down exactly how to use it there.
Okay. Okay. But
Um, we got
yeah,
another
I
half
mean,
an hour. So what else do
okay.
you want to rack about, dude?
Um. Hmm.
Here I'll grab the link to the broadcast, and I'll drop it in the chat. So if you guys want to join in and ask us a question, I'm going to open that up to you. But I just wanted to shoot the shit with you, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Join
Yeah. I was
us
trying to think if
live.
there's anything else that I'm.
Question. All right. So the join link's there. You guys can hop on. Make sure you've got a good microphone, good connection, headphones preferably. If you don't, if your audio sucks, I'm gonna have to let you go. So try to come on properly, guys. Yeah. What else can we rap about, dude?
Yeah. I mean, we could talk business, talk about how we're doing with the memberships and stuff like that.
Yeah. Memberships. You've recently just started to offer it for the Bulldog Mindset membership. How's that going?
Yeah, that's good. I just started, I guess it's been 10 months now, and got all the way up to about 400 members now
Hmm.
in the community. And yeah, I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. One of the things I learned, from my previous business with Simple Programmer is I just had all these products, and I
Hmm.
still have all these products. And with Bulldog Mindset, I just focus on the one thing. It's like I send people to my Bulldog quiz, and from there they get an email sequence that pitches the membership, and that's the one thing that I focus on, and that's the
Hmm.
one thing that I'm selling, and that has
What do
just
you
made
do for
everything clear.
deliverables behind the paywall?
So I do probably pretty similar to what you do. I do like a weekly video, and the video rotates between the four pillars of Bulldog Mindset, which is mindset, fitness, finance, and then dating and relationships.
Cool.
And so those all go out, and then I do a monthly Q&A for members, and then we've got a book each month, and then a book summary for that book, and then the Facebook group, and then they get like some exclusive stuff like uh, early access to interviews if I
Hmm.
do an interview with someone, and those kind of perks. So
Nice. I got a couple of people waiting to hop on and ask a question. I'm just going to let them kind of
oh
wait for a
yeah.
little bit longer, but I want to ask you this question. So I've done some book reviews in my community as well this last year as well. What book has really updated your beliefs the most in the last year that you've gone through with your tribe?
That's a good question.
Or author that might have written books. Because while you're thinking about that, I'll tell you what mine is. So Noah Yuval Harari. The more that I kind of marinate on his work, like if you read Homo Deus and Sapiens and
I read
21 Lessons,
Sapiens.
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you read Homo Deus?
I haven't. No.
It's really interesting because in that installment, he kind of leans into the future and he talks about the direction of mankind as it kind of leans into the next centuries going forward. And 21 Lessons for the 21st Century is another little nice piece as well. But the big takeaway from it all, for me was really that humans don't give a damn about the truth. What we care about is power.
Hmm.
And that and if you read Sapiens, then you also probably picked up on the growth of humanity or sapiens, as well, through a function of gossip. It's like, we all subscribe to a $20 bill being worth $20 because we all agree in the fiat currency value, with the exception of people that are disconnected from it because they don't subscribe to that gossip. Like you take that $20 bill down to the Amazon and you give it to a guy that's never had electricity or lighting or even seen a
Right.
car. What's he going to do with it? He's going to wipe his ass with it. He has no interest in it, right? So I thought that was one of the most prolific sort of pieces. Yeah, Conk's there as well. He said that he really likes Homo Deus as well. What did you think though?
I'll have to check that one out. I haven't read Homo Deus, but I didn't really like Sapiens actually. I gave it a negative review because I felt like it was anti-humanistic,
Interesting.
and and I felt like it was not. I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't a very uplifting message,
Yeah,
and
it's
a
not.
bit skewed. But yeah.
But I mean, like the truth rarely is either.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true, and I'm definitely a person that likes to confront the truth. I just felt like it was like it had an agenda, but I'd be curious to read the other book
Yeah.
for sure and see.
Here I got Bradford here in the waiting area, so I'm going to throw you on. You had a question for us, man?
Hey Richard, how are you doing?
Good, man.
Hey, I'm happy you had me on the show. I got in just as you all were getting off of the subject matter of David Data's book, okay,
Okay.
which for me was a really life-changing book, and it started to bring me into the process of learning about being a man and masculinity. It started me on which I'm still on my red pill journey, okay. So I was wondering if you could like go back and maybe quickly rehash some of what you were saying, your insights on him, and maybe some other books that I could read that would help me along that same pathway.
So, from my perspective, just so I don't, bore the people that have been watching from the start, there's some really good books out there that I think every guy should read. And what I've done is I've got an Amazon storefront. So if you go to the top pinned comment and
Hmm.
click that, there's some nutraceutical products or supplements that I've taken or back products that I've used to fix my back. But there's also a section on books. Any one of those books in there to me is a top shelf read, right? So I've got stuff in there like from Rational Male. I got Sean Smith's book in there. I got some of Noah Yuval Harari's books. I don't have David Data's book in there just because I wasn't a huge fan of it. I found it a little too emotional, woo-woo sort of thing.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, like I'm more into the reality of stuff, and then I kind of apply it to the, you know, the life that I want to live. That might be viewed by some as maybe black-pilled or, you know, something else, but I just wasn't a huge fan of it. But it's a good segue into, you know, the depth of the red pill and the different rabbit holes you can kind of go down. Like I would never give the Rational Male to somebody that just didn't understand the way the world worked. And I said, well, here, read this, and now you should understand things. A lot of people kind of move into it from David Data's book, Iron John, even Corey Wayne's book, The 3% Man. I've said that book's kind of like purple pillish. You know, he goes on for a bit about the beauty of dating a single mom, and I was like, okay, we're done here, sort of thing. Like we need to pass on to the Rational Male. But yeah, like start with that list. So it's pinned in the top comment. It's in the Amazon storefront.
Okay, thanks, Richard.
All right, man. See you later.
All right, man.
Hang on, we've got another guy here named Jacob. Let's see what Jacob's got to say. You're on, man.
Hey, Rich, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, sorry, I'm in the car right now. I just wanted to call in and ask. So I'm a 20-year-old college student. I work full-time, and I'm a full-time student, completely self-sustaining. My parents don't assist me at all. I'm looking for more out of my life. And I want to know what would be the first real step to get more from my life, if that makes sense.
John, do you want to chime in and hit this guy?
Yeah, I mean, I would say honestly at this stage, if you really want to set yourself up, what you need to do is always think about how, like, living your life now as if you're going to set yourself up for the best life 5 years from now. That's how you should be living your life, right? So make those kind of long-term decisions. With that said, one of the best things you could possibly be doing right now, being 20, is to be starting your own business now, right? Knowing that you'll probably be broke ass for a while, but knowing that by the time, like, you should, like, the time where I always tell young guys that their life will be the best is when they're 30. Right. And that they should be aiming everything towards that. Right. So, yeah, you know, go around, maybe date some women now, but don't get into any long-term relationships. Spend your time in grind mode, hustle. So build a business and expect that it's going to take 5 years minimum for you to actually get any kind of traction and make any kind of money from that business. But be willing to put in that time. Spend some time in the gym. Right. You know, spend time improving yourself. Read a lot of books. Like, make sure that you're reading books all the time. You go out for a run, you put the audiobook in, you're listening, right? Think about, you know, you're training for having the best life when you're 30. Most guys your age, what they're doing is they're doing the whole YOLO. They're going out, they're fucking partying every night, and they're living their best time now when they're 20, and they're still at broke ass. But if you can be 30, be financially successful as a man, have a good physique, okay, be well grounded, have some experience with women without getting trapped into a long-term relationship, man, your 30s are going to be fucking awesome, right? Like you can live an awesome life. You can retire in your 30s, you know, and all that kind of stuff, but you got to be willing to make the sacrifice now. That's the best advice I would give you.
Yeah, that's a good point. I muted Jacob just because his audio was getting pretty bad, but I'm just going to pull him out of the screen. So I hope you got some value out of that. Just to add to that, totally echo with what John's saying. But I mean, the show, like this series that we're running, is playing to win. And when you're a younger guy, you can take on greater risks. I mean, you can play to win. I mean, playing to win means that you should get like a 50x, 100x payoff when you come to the finish line, sort of thing. And we all know that women hang out at the finish line and pick the winners, as I've famously said before. So in your younger years, gentlemen, you know, 20s, 30, 35, maybe, you know, probably up to 35, like you should have had a win by then. Yeah. Play hard, you know, take on bigger risks, you know, move to a place that's going to give you a better ROI than where you're at. There's a lot of guys in small towns or small areas with not a lot of access to tools and resources or even opportunities. And it's like, you know, you can move when you're young. So the advice that I give you is, play to win. Because by the time you get to my age, like you're really just trying not to screw up. Like I'm 46, I've made the money. Now I kind of play more not to lose, but there are instances that I'm playing not to win it as well still too. So just kind of take it that way, if you will, if that makes sense. Got a super chat here. Got to throw up on the screen. He says, "Hey, Rich. I know this is off topic, but Daniel Craig. If you guys don't know who Daniel Craig is, he's the James Bond, or has been the James Bond recently. Is in a YouTube video in a dress for equal pay.
Oh,
I have not seen that. Let's do a quick YouTube search. Daniel Craig in a dress and see what we got here because he's looking for feedback on it. Craig in a dress. What do we get here? Dresses to support equality.
oh my gosh.
Oh, it's there.
That is
I can't
horrible.
show it on the screen because YouTube doesn't let me do that. But I'm just gonna quickly watch this here and comment on it. So he's walking out the Bond with the back lit dress. No, this is a 2011 flick. This isn't new. This can't be new. This is 8 years ago. Are you kidding me? I don't know if this is the right one, bro. But if you have the link, drop it in the chat because that'll help me find the right one. But yeah, I'm not for men dumbing themselves down. I don't know. What do you think, John? Men acting more feminized. Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm absolutely against it. It doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, the honest truth of the situation is that women don't like weak men and men don't like weak men.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a weak man, regardless. Women will tell you, oh, I want you to be emotional and cry on my shoulder and I want to be there for you like you're there for me, but bullshit. And they mean it, but yeah, you'll be a better friend to them, but they won't be sexually attracted to you. And men despise weak men. You should have learned that in school. So
No, but nobody teaches you those things in school. Here, I want to show you something that's going to reflect that sentiment that you just, I mean, it's an excellent point. Women hate weak men. They love strength. They love competency. And by the same token, a lot of the times you're going to hear women go on about how, they pine for Mr. Caring, Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Thoughtful, Mr. Sensitive, but then they'll go off and fuck Mr. Exciting. So whenever there's a conflict between, behavior and words, you always got to believe the behavior. There it is. So there's a screen. I'm pull it up, share screen, Chrome tab, and I think that's it. There we go. So I got sent this on Twitter the other day. Women, I want a kind, caring, loving man. So this is her tweet. This is Bonnie Frozen. She says, Henry Cavill plays Superman, a conventionally attractive, beloved superhero, wears extremely tight outfit. Me, meh. Henry plays The Witcher, a grumpy, morally gray monster hunter, always dirty and or bloody, smells like his horse. Me, I've never wanted to suck a D so bad in my entire life.
yeah.
That's, whenever there's a conflict, gentlemen, you've got to, sorry, John, I pulled you up by accident, hit the wrong screen. Whenever there's a conflict between, those things, you always got to believe the behavior, if that makes any sense to you guys.
Yeah.
Did
And I
anybody
think
find that link?
I think a lot of guys misinterpret that and they think, okay, well, I have to be a total dickhead and treat women poorly and be an asshole. It's about the projection of strength. It's not about, right? I mean, there's behavior, like, as a man, it has a lot to do with the intent behind the behavior, right? It's like, because I was coaching one guy and he's like, oh yeah, he was so focused on being the masculine man that he's like, yeah, I would never, I just don't say anything nice to my girlfriend and I never buy her gifts or anything. And I'm like, dude, you're missing, if you are the man and you're acting masculine, you can be kind, right? There's a difference between kind and being nice. You can reward good behavior, right, as long as you're ignoring bad behavior. But if you're just trying to win approval and validation, and that's the reason why you're being nice or paying a compliment or giving a gift, that's the wrong, that then you're gonna get fucking walked on. But I think a lot of times guys confuse that, and so they're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna be an asshole, and that's not either, because that won't work either, because you'll now be being an asshole in order to win validation. and women will see through that as well. So just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, somebody just said there, it's exactly what Robert Glover talks about. right to the point, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if you've read No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, I actually had him on my YouTube channel. One of the biggest takeaways I got from that book was the idea between the covert and overt contracts, right? And I think that's such a important concept for guys to understand.
Yeah, yeah. I've really just been trying to look at all these conversations in these books. Like, I mean, like even Rollo will tell you that, like, you know, like I basically use a lot of his ideas and his essays as the basis of the things that I formulate too. And I would disagree with that. I mean, but it's more or less a collection of all those things. And I try to simplify the pieces, or the most important pieces anyway, that guys need to comprehend, have more success, so they're not distracted by women or chasing women, so they can be more focused on their purpose and making money and putting a dent in the universe. And it's like simple things. Like a lot of the times I'll get guys that'll like come up and they'll throw stuff at me like, you know, this woman, and you know, I think she likes me, but I'm not entirely sure, and I sent the text and she didn't get back to me, and what do I do? And it's like, dude, she doesn't have desire for you, right? Like,
Yeah.
one of the videos that I did is called Genuine Burning Desire, you know, like why it's really important. I've got an entire chapter in my book dedicated to breaking down all the details. But like a 9 or a 10 will have so much desire. She'll show up, you know, for dates on time or early. She'll be made up. She'll be dressed nicely. She'll be wearing makeup. You know, she'll text you unprovoked. She'll send you maybe, you know, provocative pictures to get your attention. She'll do whatever she can to enter your frame. Whereas a woman that's like more indifferent, she might show up late for dates. She's not going to be dressed up as nicely. She's going to reschedule. She's not going to respond to your texts. Like, I've broken it all down in this chapter. But if you want to have a nice, easy life, or have a good experience with women, Robert Glover said something to me the last time I had him on with Sean, and he said, choose women that choose you. And that's really what I would distill that entire chapter down, is choose women that choose you. But there's a lot behind the dynamics of how all that works. And that's what I do, is I take those ideas and I kind of like go down a path that exposes it in a way that's really, really easy for guys to understand. But yeah, man, you know, you get that thing sorted out, you get that figured out, it's a lot easier to make bank and put a dent in your universe, because guys are like so focused on women all the time.
Oh yeah.
It's always about women. It's always about chasing tail, right?
It's funny, related to what you just said. One thing I always tell guys is, do you want to have a woman let you fuck her, or want to fuck you? And there's a big difference, because a lot of guys are willing to accept the first, and I'm like, fuck, don't, like it, the second is much better. So like, if a woman is giving you the first, then just be done with it, because you don't want that. Like, you want
know the
the
difference
second.
between transactional sex and validational sex?
Tell me.
Yeah, so transactional is when you see those like honey to-do lists. It's like, you know, take out the garbage, mow the lawn, get a blowjob. Take out the garbage, mow the lawn, take the kids to soccer, you know, we'll do this in the bedroom, sort of thing. And it's like this chore play. It's like a negotiation strategy. You do this and I'll give you that. That's transactional sex. I mean, you see that as well with prostitutes, because they're you know, exchanging money for sexual favors, sort of things. Whereas like validational sex is the chick at the foam cannon party in Ibiza or Cancun who goes and bangs a cute, you know, Italian guy, Pablo, 20 minutes after she met him, right? That's validational sex, because she's seeking validation from the guy. And that's the kind of sex that you want to have. So that's a big difference between the two, is you want the enthusiastic consent. And these guys will never get me too. Like Pablo, the guy from the foam cannon party that bangs 20 minutes after he meets the girl and says hi, he's never getting me too.
Exactly.
Because it's genuine burning desire.
Right.
I got Anthony here waiting, so I'm going to throw him on. Anthony, you got a question?
Yeah, hey guys, how you going?
We're shaking, man.
And John, love your work, man. I've seen a couple of your videos. Rich, been a fan of the community for a while. I've got a question for you both. John, you started Super Programmer at 29, maybe 33, you said. Rich, in a previous video, you said that you got passed up on a promotion at around 30, and that's when you went all in your debt business at the time. So I'm 25. I've unsuccessfully launched one venture, planning to go again and do something in the recurring revenue but product e-commerce space. But my main bread and butter is real estate. It's construction management, it's property development, and I'm kind of stuck between going all in on that or going in on a side hustle with the intent of generating money to go further in real estate. Like, so my question, I guess, to you guys is, you've both dedicated a lot of time to your craft and made your money up front. But you also, by the same token, encourage guys to dive in straight away into their own business at a young age. Having both had a lot of experience working for people, having had a lot of experience with other people's money, I guess, learning with other people's money first, what do you recommend someone does? Do you see the value in working for someone as well?
You want to jump on that, John?
Sure. So a couple things I would say. The first thing I would say is focus is the most important thing. One thing, do one thing. There's a couple of good books, Essentialism and actually a book called The One Thing. Read both of those books. But if I could go back in time, I don't have very many regrets in life. But if I could rewind, one thing I would do is just focus on one thing, put all my focus and energy into one thing. I'd be worth $100 million right now if I did that, right? I mean, yeah, what I did was successful. It's great. It's awesome. But I was doing so many things and running so many businesses at a time, doing real estate investing, doing this business, doing that. And focus is so critical. As long as you pick one thing and you just put it all into that, that's the biggest business lesson that I've learned in business. And that's what's actually helped Bulldog Mindset grow so much faster, is because, like I said earlier, so I would say that. The second thing I would say is there's actually a really good book actually by 50 Cent and Robert Greene called the 50th Law. And the biggest takeaway I got from that was own your corner, which is critical. You know, own your own corner, right? You like working for someone else. Okay. I mean, maybe you can learn some stuff, but owning your own corner is extremely valuable. So if you get the opportunity to build your own thing, even if it means you're making less money, even, you know, that no one can take that away from you. And that's how you become anti-fragile, by the way, right? Anytime you're depending on someone else, some platform even, and solely on that platform, you're not anti-fragile. One person can you know, you got to kiss someone's ass. There's someone's ass you got to kiss. You cannot be totally free. So,
yeah, I don't have much to add to that. It's a lot of guys get distracted doing different things or side hustles, and I've not seen many people that have built very successful businesses or played to win with a side hustle. It's, I mean, by definition, by calling it a side hustle, like when somebody says side hustle to me and then they start talking about Uber or walking dogs on WAG or some shit like that, I'm like, you're wasting your fucking time, dude. That's a colossal waste of your time. And I'll tell guys that straight up. I mean, I've told guys in my community that, but to really get something off the ground, I mean, if you want to have impact, like, you're going to have to live poor for a bit to make that happen. I think when I first started at my debt business, I didn't even draw a salary for the first year. I mean, I had a little bit of money saved up from a package I got when I left, and then a few other things that were going on because I had roommates in my house. I bought my first house and I just stuffed it with roommates, so they were covering the mortgage basically. So I didn't really have that much in the way of living expenses. But yeah, you have to go all in, dude. And I think that one of the things that John said that he may not have realized on is that because he was doing so many things, like, you have to be able to identify at one point, like, the one thing that is working and then let go of the other shit. But a lot of guys, you know, if there's 4 things that they could have been doing, maybe this is the thing that would have won, but he focused on these things. He might have missed the opportunity to see that just because he didn't take on a few more things at the same time. So, you know, it's a delicate balance, right? Like, you got to kind of play with it a little bit, if that makes sense, Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, if you guys don't mind, one thing, John, just a further question for you. You said you bought your first property at 19. And Rich, you also said you're going to have to live poorly for a while to step out and have, you know, your own corner.
Yeah.
I'm 25. I've bought my first place at 24. It's got development potential. I want to go there. One strategy, real estate wise, but it's much like yours, John, buying one property a year and just get people in there, smash the mortgage. But with all those commitments, right, like big financial commitments, default's a big thing. Like, how do you get, it's kind of hard to find the balls to walk away out on your own and be in that heavy risk zone when you have such huge financial obligations. So you are, in a sense, Rich, playing not to lose until you find enough ground and experience to walk out.
Well, yeah, you have to make sure it's a business and not a hobby, right? The business will pay you.
Yeah, don't get us wrong. I think, you know, feel free to disagree if you disagree, Richard, but I'm not suggesting that you just quit your job and then just start a business. I don't think that's a good idea. I like the idea. In fact, what I did as well is I worked my job, but I worked, I told my boss, I said, I'm working 40 hours a week. That's it. And I spent the other 30 hours a week working on what was my side business, but taking it seriously. I think what Richard is saying is don't say, oh, this is just a side hustle. Like, this is your dream. This is what you're really going to do. And I got it up to the point where, and this is critical, where my side business, the income it generated was enough to cover my expenses, not to replace my income, to cover my expenses. As soon as it got to the point where it could cover my expenses, I quit my regular job and I just focused on that. Right. A lot of people, they try to build a side business and they're like, okay, well, I'm making like 6 figures. So once the side business gets to 6 figures, it's never getting the 6 figures while you're working for it on the side. Right. You got to cut your expenses down. You got to eat ramen noodles, soup, and fucking eggs and beans and fucking live in whatever it takes. Like if you have to move into a room and rent a room to get your expenses down, because as soon as your expenses are down and your side business is enough to cover those expenses, if you can live off of $2,000 a month, bam, you're free. You're out of the rat race. Now you can devote an extra 8 hours a day to that side business and you can really grow that sucker. But don't just quit your job and then just be like, okay, I'm just going to start a business. Those you go into a Starbucks and you see a bunch of guys doing that just sit on their laptop and pretend to work all day because they got a fucking gun to their head and they ain't doing shit, and they're not starting any fucking business because they got a gun to their head. You can't work under that pressure. You build it up to the point where you can get free, then get free, and the whole time that's what your plan is. It's not that I'm just going to do this thing on the side. That's my advice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anthony, I got to let you go because I got to get to a couple super chats here. But just as you're leaving, thanks for the question. I just wanted to mention as well, I was forced into that success because I was given a package and I went home. And in 10 months, I did $298,000 because I was so focused. It was like black hole focus on what I was doing. Some guys could do that in less time. Some guys might take 2 or 3 years as a side hustle to do that, but just do it. Either way, just make sure you've got clarity on what you're doing and just do it. Got a couple super chats here. Let me get to these. I'll get to yours in a sec, Chris. So the first one here, solo entrepreneur advice. What life lessons aided you guys in your endeavors with tough times? What source of inspiration helps? What life lessons aided you guys in your endeavors? You know what, man? There's a great book. I think it's Tim S. Grover. It's called Relentless.
Yes, that's a great book.
I put that in my Amazon store. If you haven't read that, read it, because you have no idea what you're up against until you're up against it. And then even then, a lot of the times obstacles are put in the way to kind of test your, to basically see how bad it is that you want to get, where it is that you're trying to go to. Because you'll either make an excuse and just give up, or you'll perhaps make the obstacle the way itself. Ryan Halliday wrote a book called The Obstacles Away. That's another good read. Yeah. So what advice would I give? Read those 2 books, just so you get some clarity around that. You want to add to that, John?
I would say one of the big things that helped me, because I probably would have quit, was if I wasn't around a group of other entrepreneurs and guys. So good plug for joining like Richard's membership and getting in, especially in the business side, because honestly, like being around other guys, just you're going to have a day as an entrepreneur where you're gonna be like, fuck, everything is fucked. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to get up anymore. And then it helps to see that other guys are going through that shit and that they help you through that. You can't do it alone. You need support, and getting a good support system is critical, because there's going to be days where you're done.
Yeah, so community's big. I got into Entrepreneurs Organization, but that's a community where you need to be doing at least $1 million a year in annual sales as the founder. And they have an EOA program, which is an entry level at $250,000 a year in sales. I run a men's forum as well, which is on a similar principle, but like the price point when I offer it to the new group that comes in this spring is going to be $5,000 for the year. But it's a monthly meeting. Like, you need to have a tribe to connect to, because there's going to be shit that you're going to be up against that may make you give up, and it might be a little earlier than what you want to give up on it. There's got to be a solution out there that you can find it. If you can't find it, maybe your tribe can help you find it. So I think it's really important to have like a group of guys that are there to support and bring you along that path to success. Forums are really, really incredible. Have you ever been in an EO group, John?
I haven't. I started my own entrepreneur like mastermind group that's been going on for like 6 years now,
Yeah.
and was my support group.
Yeah, yeah, they're really, really powerful. Like when you get them set up right and you have a
Yeah.
proper structure and there's a proper presentation and the updates are structured in the right way, they're very powerful. Chris, hey Rich, lower income renting, making $1,200 a month. How would you explore things you might like and build discipline to focus to get out of the rut of being lost? Lower income renting, making $1,200 a month. That's not a lot of money. Where do you
Yeah,
live,
that's
Chris? Just put it in the chat there. But that's tough. $1,200 a month. How do you live off that? I mean, you got to have very low expenses. You're probably not banking much with that. What are your thoughts on that, John?
Shit, I got a couple thoughts on one of them is what you need to be focusing on right now is investing in yourself to build up your skills to command a higher value, right? Like one of the things I did a video a while back where someone was like, how do I invest $1,000? And I'm like, on yourself, not in any fucking stock market or real estate or anything. Like you need to grow your skills. If you want to be able, you need to be able to make more money. But there's a good side to only making $1,200 a month and living off of that, which is fuck, you're positioned to start an online business like most people aren't, because all you gotta do is make $1,200 in your online business and you're free. And you're now retired essentially. Like you don't have to work for anyone else. So I would really hustle my ass off.
Salt Lake City's where it's
Okay.
at.
Yeah, I'd hustle my ass off to build. I mean, honestly, like if you hustle your ass for a year, it's easy to make $1,200 a month online. Like to build a business that does that.
See, the problem is everybody gets caught in the vicious cycle of working for somebody else, and it's like, well, if I get that job, then it'll be X number of dollars an hour more. It'll be an extra $5 in like a day more, or whatever. It's like you're nickel and diming yourself to nowhere, and you just got to get out of that rat race, man. You got to figure out how to get out of that rat. And it doesn't matter where you live. Like I got a guy that I was coaching last year. He does jazz duets online. He lives in South America. He's an expat from, I can't remember where. It's either he's got the Queen's tongue, so he's a British guy basically. But lives in South America, has a very, very low cost of living. He puts out jazz music duets, which he sells online. He has a YouTube channel that went from like 3,000 subs when I met him to well over 100,000 subs by the time we had our last conversation. But you can do this anywhere in the world, man. You can make money anywhere. It's like practically permissionless now. We didn't have, I mean, I'm dating myself, but I didn't have any of this stuff when I was 25. I didn't have YouTube. I didn't have StreamYard. I didn't have the ability to broadcast. At the same time, I didn't know anything either, right? Because I wasn't able to click a button and join in and ask John and Rich a question sort of thing. So just get out there and start doing stuff. Look, like, success leaves clues. If you can start anywhere, start with success leaves clues. I started with reading books about greatness. Guys like Richard Branson, even Donald Trump. Some people hate him, whatever. But reading books from successful entrepreneurs that have put a dent in the universe and done something significant, that are willing to share that story in their own biography. That's at least somewhere where you can start. So you can see, okay, everybody had a starting point somewhere, whether they inherited a couple $1 million from their father, or they started out with nothing with a student magazine, right? Yeah. There's any number of ways that you can do it. You just start doing it. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You just get started. You start moving, right? You just like, how do I lose the weight? I don't know. Move more, eat better. Like start somewhere. Right. Like, do you need me to hold your hand and like do everything for you? Like you just have to start. Start with books though. Like the wisdom of the world is in books. Like that, 100%. Like that Amazon storefront, there's lots of good content in there. Any one of you guys would get a ton of value out of that. So I hope that helps. Unless you want to add more to that, John.
I'll say this about the books though, is because every single entrepreneur I ever talked to that's successful, like yourself,
they read books.
Yes. And we always can share books. We're like, we read all the same books, right? It's like, you know what I mean? I read personally 50 to 60 books a year. I know a lot of entrepreneurs read at least 20 to 30 books a year, if not even more than me. And man,
do you read or do you audible? Like you listen to them while you run?
I do a combination. So I have at any given time when I'm running, I have Audible going at 3x speed. So I'm flying through books.
Holy
there.
Shit. 3x?
Yeah, remember I run a lot of hours, so I've had a lot of time to train myself up a little bit, but at a time. But I can listen pretty pretty good at 3x now.
Wow. Okay.
And also I'm just focusing
Impressive.
on running. So, and then I've got I've got a book here on my desk during my Pomodoro breaks. This is Great by Choice, which I'm reading now. And then I usually have one on my Kindle for whenever I'm killing time. I'm on an airplane, I'm sitting in the toilet, whatever. I've got on my phone on the Kindle app. So yeah.
Awesome. I usually only do these for 90. We went slightly over, but yeah, I think we can wrap it up on that note. I think that was a good hangout session, man. That was a lot of fun. We should do this again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So thanks to everybody that did the super chats and chimed in. I know a few of you guys clicked in to ask a question, but didn't get an opportunity. Planning on doing these every 2 weeks. The next live broadcast that I have is June 6th, and Sean Smith and Robert Glover will be on for that. It's a before the train wreck. If you're on the channel, guys, make sure you hit the notification bell. YouTube doesn't always notify you of broadcasts or when they go live, so make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell so you can get the first notification, and keep an eye out for some videos I got coming out. I'm starting to record the red flag chapter in video clips. I'm not going to put them all in video clips just because some of them are not that friendly to YouTube, so I'll just leave them in the chapter. You guys can read them on that piece of paper of the book when it comes out, but I'm going to do some video clips kind of distilling some of those ideas that'll be useful. Where can people find you, John, and what are you up to?
Yeah, so best thing to do is just to go to bulldogmindset.com. And of course, like I always say, take the quiz. There'll be a little pop-up that'll show up and see what your Bulldog score is. And from there, I will get in contact with you. In fact, I'll probably send you a personal video message. And yeah, from there, I'll send you information about all my other stuff. But yeah, and that's what I'm up to. That's what I'm focusing on. And yeah.
All right, thanks. We'll see you guys in the next broadcast. I screwed up. Conk pointed out. It's not June 6th. It's January 6th. So we'll see you guys in the next one. There's a Rule Zero on Saturday, by the way, year-end wrap-up for the Rule Zero gang. So check us out. I think Rollo's hosting that. So we'll see you guys then.